So, this process of learning how to channel your angels to meet them and talk to them is something that I do every week with folks just like you on personal sessions. And it's really the most exciting part of this work for me right now. So, what I want you to know from that is that everybody can communicate directly with their angels and guides. Everybody. I'm not an exception. I'm just happen to be one of those people that is making this my public life work. It doesn't mean that anybody is excluded from doing this. Everyone can channel. So, in the responses to that live stream last week, I got this question from Spirit 282. And Spirit 282 said, "Wow, what a privilege to participate in this live tonight. I'm just curious. Is it possible to have an ET, for example, short or tall gray, as a spirit guide? I encountered one on a mushroom trip, and I felt such an incredible surge of love and peace with him. And then I saw him again during a cacao ceremony. And I wasn't sure what to make of it, but I was just curious if my spirit guide could be an extraterrestrial instead of an angelic, or can I have both?" So the answer to this is yes, 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 yes. Many of us have ET interstellar guides. And this is only going to increase as the level of consciousness is going up on the planet and as other races, interstellar races from off-world, are preparing to for the time when we have full disclosure, when everybody on the planet becomes aware of the reality of these interstellar races. So the answer is absolutely yes. Many of you already have ET guides that you may or may not have connection with. Tonight, we'll talk about how you start connecting with them. And also, you may have angelic guides. One of the things I will say about ETs is that in my experience, many of the ETs who we build relationships with, and we would call them our guides, are actually visiting us from some realm in the future. They are a future version of ourself. So, in other words, they are part of our soul family. They are part of our higher self. They are an aspect of our higher self. Just as Judah is an ancient soul group of angels, and I am an aspect of Judah. I'm one of the individualized souls of that collective. We've been visited frequently by a tall gray named Zed, for Zeta Extra Dimensional is the acronym. And he explained to us that he is another version of Chuck. He is Chuck's higher self, an aspect of his soul family or his higher self. So sometimes when you meet these guides from other interstellar races, you could ask them, and of course all of them aren't, but some of them could be an aspect of your higher self, and you can ask them about that. So these loving, benevolent ETs, and I will use the term extraterrestrial ET and interstellar races interchangeably. They're eager to help us in our evolutionary journey with wisdom from their experiences, both individually and collectively. So I'm not really a ufologist, right? So it's not in my wheelhouse to really study UFO sightings and things like that. As a matter of fact, from my Christian background, that whole thing about UFOs and ETs was super scary for me, right? So I just consciously disassociated from any thought that there might be ETs or interstellar races. Because if I had believed that, it would have upturned all of my faith and tradition and concepts about God, and it would have really bent my mind and wrecked my ego world in my head, right? It just didn't fit in with my religious paradigm. So, but angels, of course, were easy for me to accept and take into part of my construct, my mental construct, because I had been taught about angels since I was a child, right? Benevolent, beautiful feathers, the beautiful blonde hair and blue eyes and all of that, right? And so, but what I've learned through all my work with Judah is that ETs and angels, they're a lot more similar, and the lines between them are really pretty blurred. So, for instance, when you talk with the three Pleiadian sisters, or three Pleiadians that we work with, when you talk with them and you listen to them, they're so high vibrational, they're so beautiful, they are energetic in nature. Some of them don't have a body anymore; they just have an etheric astral body. And so, when you sense them and you work with them, you feel that you're in the presence of the angels. So I say that to say some of you may sense or feel that you're having an experience with an angel, or more than one angel, but they may actually be what you would consider an ET or an interstellar race. So I say all that to say, when you're doing this kind of contact, don't split hairs right over it, right? Is this an angel? Is this an ET? It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. It's just a soul that you want to get to know, a soul that you want to commune with, a soul that you want to have a relationship with and be intimate with. It's a soul that you have something to learn from because they're maybe a little further along on the path than you, or maybe not. Maybe it's a soul that's struggling in some way. Sometimes we encounter dead loved ones or other disembodied spirits that need a little encouragement or love from us to help them on their path. So I would encourage you not to really split hairs over, is this an angel? Is this an ET? If they tell you, that's fine. It really doesn't matter. Understand that all of this, you, I, them, we're all just focuses or aspects of source, right? We're just focuses and aspects of source. We're all a part of source. We're all a part of universal consciousness. I'm just one focus of that. You're a focus of that. And each individualized angel or ET is a focus of that. Okay. So, yes, you can have angelic guides, you can have ETs as guide. In truth, all the highly evolved beings that inhabit light bodies rather than a physical form are angelic in nature. So in the Muslim tradition, angels are called jinn. In the Hebrew and Christian tradition, we call them angels. In the Buddhist tradition, they're called devas. And for secularists, a lot of them are encountering angels and working with angels, but in their mind, they just think of them as ETs. Judah recently said this in a channel. You can initiate your first contact with beings with which your soul aligns, the ones that ring true for you, the ones that you want to have as a part of your life and your life experience. You make the first contact, and this will bring you cushioning and protection in the coming days. Okay, so there's two important takeaways from what Judah said in this former channel. First of all, you can initiate the contact with ET races. And the second thing is, this action, you're putting the time and energy and effort into developing a relationship with ETs, can give you a measure of safety in the days to come and different things that may be happening on the planet, especially as disclosure is happening, as these ETs and whatever their crafts are and all of that begin to be more prominent and more confirmed and affirmed and given truthful media coverage and so on. So disclosure is happening at a vastly accelerated rate all around the world. There are millions of people seeing UFOs, being contacted telepathically, seeing them in physical form, ETs. There are thousands and thousands of these reports, and there are so many more that are never, documented. I did put, in case you guys are interested, I put a link below to in the show notes. Actually, I'll have to do it after the show since we switched the live stream. But it's to the U.S. government website that documents all of the history of the government has with UFOs, and it has it out there for you now to read. So what's key? The key in this time is to develop relationships with these ETs. So to give you an illustration, my daughter and son-in-law are off-gridders in North Carolina, and they live in a close-knit community of support. And this is one of the ways that they're able to assist each other in living off-grid. So if you were an off-gridder, you would want to know, in cases of emergencies, let's say, who is it that has chickens that you can get eggs from, and who has a felled tree that you could use for firewood, and who's raising pigs, and would they be willing to trade some pork for some fresh vegetables that you grew, and so on. So they have to work together in relationship in order to care for one another, to live sustainably, to be free, and to be happy. So when you think about ETs and this coming disclosure and integrating ETs into what it means to be a human on the planet and their presence, know that relationships are key, right? There are going to be a lot of shifts, a lot of things going on, and the relationships that you've developed with them are going to be resources for you so that you know what to do and when and how and why, and you have this communication to give you wisdom. So this is a sidebar. This is a cautionary note. This is my motherly parts coming out. Some people use their relationships with their angels and guides as a substitute for healthy human connection. Okay. So this is an aspect of what's sometimes called spiritual bypassing. So for some of us that may be listening tonight, we may have experienced so much pain or dysfunction in our human relationships with our family or our partners that we give up on intimacy with humans and use metaphysical experiences with angels and ETs as a substitute. Okay, so what I'm not saying is that you shouldn't have relationships with angels and ETs. And those relationships can be very loving. And when you experience, for instance, if you've ever experienced Judah's presence, many people sometimes will start weeping and just feel overcome with love. They feel comforted. They feel at peace. So angels and guides have real companionship and love and care and wisdom to give us. And that's okay. But just check yourself to make sure that you're not escaping into that at the expense of or in abandonment to your human relationships. Okay, that's just a little cautionary note. Okay. So the other note that I made on that was if you struggle a lot in your human relationships, ultimately you will project those struggles onto your relationships with your angels and guides. So, for instance, if you've kind of withdrawn from relationships with people because you feel that people disappoint you or they let you down, or they're not there for you, then if you develop new relationships with your angels and guides, you will at some point feel that your angels and guides have let you down and disappointed you and not been there for you. So I hope that makes sense. Understand that you can't escape your issues with people, human relationships, by developing relationships with angels and guides. It's still going to bite you in the ass. All right, so to be grounded for this kind of work of talking and working with angels and ETs, to be grounded properly so that you can do this work in a healthy way, is to give attention to having healthy human relationships. And that grounding enables you to do this really high consciousness metaphysical work. All right. What is first contact? What is it?
It's a movie by Bashar.
What, baby?
It's a movie by Bashar.
It is. Tell them about that. Chuck said it's a movie by Bashar. You want to tell them about it?
It was a movie by Daryl Aiken about Bashar, who I invested in, who came out, I believe it's on Netflix now, came out probably 10 years ago or more.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So Chuck invested in Daryl's movie about Bashar called First Contact, and it's definitely worth seeing. So first contact used to be a term. It was first coined to talk about when Europeans came and first met indigenous peoples in North and South America. It was called first contact. So first contact is anytime you and I are meeting someone of another race or another culture that we have never had exposure to before. So now when we talk about first contact, we're primarily talking about contact from UFOs or ETs. All right, so there are, as I said before, so many cases of UFO sightings. There is physical evidence. It's so well documented that if you're still ignoring it, you're probably deluding yourself. I'll just say that. So I won't go into all that because there's plenty of verified information out there. And I encourage you to be a skeptic. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. I'm not an expert in that area, so I'm not going to go deep into that. But I will tell you this. I want to answer this question for you. Who can initiate a first contact? Well, of course, ETs initiate contact at different times. There's UFO sightings, there's abductions, there's all kinds of things going on out there, but you also can initiate a first contact. The only time I ever felt like I was contacted in a way that I didn't initiate was one time I was asleep with Chuck upstairs in the bed, and I felt somebody kind of pick my body up off the mattress a few inches, and I felt my astral body kind of being pulled out of my body with like suction, it felt like, or a vacuum. And it scared me pretty badly. It only lasted a few seconds and then they dropped me. I told Chuck about it. He said, well, they threw you back. They knew you were a bad fish, which can be true. They probably decided I was too much trouble. So I do think that things like that happen. I don't know what to say about that, except don't be scared, right? What's the point? I mean, that's like deciding you're not going to drive because there are bad drivers out there. I mean, then you could just live all holed up in your house and that would be silly, right? Judah has assured us that there are more ETs for us than there are against us, and that the good guys definitely have the upper hand in everything going on with us, and angels and goodness is prevailing. And are there a few rogue things going on out there with ETs? Probably, but why would you attract that, right? So when I was asking for Judah for a little help on this topic, this was the metaphor that I got. So I want you to use dating and having sex as a metaphor for contacting ETs, right? Okay, so sometimes you wait for, there's somebody you want to get to know a little bit. You think you might want to date them. Sometimes you wait on them to call you or text you or meet up with you somewhere, or sometimes you make the first move, right? So this is the way it is with ETs. Sometimes they're going to contact you first. Sometimes you're going to contact them. So I like to be proactive and inviting. So thinking again about dating, right? So you start with some first initial contact and names and a little background information and getting to know each other and so on. And then you may eventually have an intimate relationship with them. But you probably likely would not jump in bed and have sex with someone that you knew absolutely nothing about, right? And and if you're like most of us in the world, perhaps you've done that a time or two or a million or 100 times, and maybe some of the times you wish you hadn't done that. You wish you hadn't done that. You wish you'd thought about it a little bit longer, right? So understand that when you are channeling, you are having an intimate energy exchange like having sex, okay? You're merging with another spirit. It's a good analogy. When you have sex with someone, you are becoming one with them for those moments in time. It's as if the two bodies are the same body. You're sharing your energy. You're sharing your life force energy with one another. Your energies are entangling. Well, when you channel, you are also merging with another consciousness. So you want to give that some thought, right? You don't want to be too casual about it. You want to make sure it's the kind of energy that you want to be unified with for those moments, however long those moments might last. Okay. So one of the ways you can do this is just begin with an entity that you really love and trust, right? So I trust Judah. Judah's proved themselves to me over time. And so I feel very comfortable merging their consciousness in with my personal consciousness. It's intimate and I feel safe with them. I know that I'm not going to be taken advantage of, that nothing is going to happen that's going to harm me, right? And so and then they can be a gatekeeper for helping me connect with other people. Okay. What do ETs care about? They care about developing relationships based on love and unity. Very few of them have nefarious plans. And if you're not mucking around in a lot of fear, anger, greed, ego, stuff like that, they're not going to be attracted to you. Why would they waste their time? Right? ETs care about supporting us in our growth, helping us to evolve and within safe parameters. And they really care about Mother Earth. They care about her safety. They care that Mother Earth will thrive and they respect her as a consciousness. And they want humanity to succeed and be safe as they grow without doing things that are going to cause dire harm to the earth, to the other plants and animals on the earth, to one another, or to the vaster or more out there system of the cosmos. They don't want us to do things like nuclear warfare that's going to impact not just our planet, but other interstellar races, other stars, planets, and systems. So that's what they care about. Most of the time, when I help you guys begin channeling for the first time, with very few exceptions, one of the first messages that you receive when you enter a channeling state is, "We love you. We're here for you. We are one with you." Those are the primary messages that I hear consistently. So to merge yourself with any consciousness that you're working with is to enter into oneness and unity. Again, it's like that sexual union, right? Okay. So how do we safely contact and communicate with them? The same way you would in a dating relationship. You just use your intuition. You use your intuition. You allow yourself to be magnetized to beings that are loving, that are compassionate, kind, wise, and you turn away from the ones that aren't, right? Very simple. And you trust your gut. You act with respect for your own body, your own mind, and your emotions, just like you would in a relationship. If something didn't feel good to you, you would back out of it. And it's the same thing with channeling. If you're with let's say we've had Chuck and I've had disembodied spirits come to us at times during our channeling sessions. One good example of this would be the Cherokee brother. You can hear that channel on this channel somewhere. And he's a disembodied spirit, not an ET. And he is really just uncomfortable and distraught and ill at ease and sad about some things that happened during his lifetime on Earth. And so Chuck and I were willing to listen to him and give him a voice and just love him and to really just um, allow him to share his pain and feel that. Do you have anything you want to share about that? And it was it was a sacrifice, particularly for Chuck. Chuck was really just feeling this spirit's pain in their heart. So it was a little bit of a vibrational hit for us, but we stuck with it out of love for this being in order to help this being move along, right? But anytime you don't feel comfortable with something, understand that no being, no matter how powerful and life-giving and source-oriented they are, Michael the archangel or Raphael or anybody, no being that's truly from source is going to violate your body, your mind, your emotional space, and you're sovereign over your own life. It's for you to say yes or to say no to any person or angelic being or ET. So stay in your power. You don't owe any entity the use of your time, the use of your body, the use of your energy. Okay, so trust your energy, your intuition, and your body and respect it. It's always okay to say no. And anytime you work with an energy, if you feel a little, or an entity, if you feel a little afterwards, or you're just not sure, all you need to do is say, super conscious, please treat the field of, and you mentioned the entity that you worked with, please treat the field of, and treat any and all intruding fields and send them back to the source with all love and grace. You can also use this with people. Super conscious, please treat the field of John and send all of his energies back to their original source with all love and grace. Okay, I think it's a good place to stop there and invite in the Galactic Federation friends. Do you want to say anything? One of the things I would say for some of you that are just beginning to channel is to remember that sometimes these beings don't really have anything to say. They don't have words necessarily. They just have an energy, an emotion, or a feeling that they communicate to you. So they can communicate just with giving you a real sense of lift or love or peace or gentleness. And there doesn't necessarily need to be words. And sometimes those are the best experiences. Okay. Go ahead, sweetie.
And a lot of the people who are listening to this are ETs that incarnated in 3D to help move us along.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's right. Good point. All right. So we just set an intention to invite our beautiful ET friends. And we just welcome anyone that has something to say to this beautiful audience. Hello all. I am Lars of Arcturus. I am speaking for the Galactic Federation ensemble who works with this vessel. And we are pleased to make your acquaintance and give you insight to our work in the Federation at this time. I will act as the spokesperson for this communication. There are untold numbers of beings represented by the ambassadors to the Galactic Federation. And within this federation, we operate with equanimity and with an intent for harmony. And as you say, on your planet, the majority rules. And so as we work together, there are many discussions, deliberations, points of view, and perspectives that are brought to our discussions by many myriads of races through their ambassadors. And each ambassador is representing the interest of and perspectives of their particular races. Together, we hash through, as this vessel says, we hash through all the different possibilities for both assisting you and also for simply observing. This is a large part of our discussions and even, we would say, respectful arguments. For many races represented within the Federation have more of a hands-off philosophy in regards to humanity and the earth and the evolution of humanity and so on. They operate from a standpoint of peace, from trust, inaction, and so on. And they simply want to observe and emanate their loving presence, energetic presence towards all of the events of Earth, but they do not wish to interfere. And there are others in the Federation who feel that many things are gone awry with which we imagine you agree on the earth. And they would like to step in various different measures and ways in order to give you guardrails, as you say, and redirect what is happening on the earth. And now there are many variations of desire in between those. So those who want to be very proactive, very involved, and even some who would prefer to take control, and then others who simply want things to unfold. So one of the ways we could explain this to you in a metaphor is to think about parenting styles with humans. There are parents who simply want to give their children freedom of creativity, freedom of choice, freedom of expression, freedom to make mistakes and then learn from their mistakes and so on. And the parents simply just want to be there mainly as a loving presence. And of course, to intervene if there were some life-threatening possibility to intervene for the child. This is the perspective that some in the Federation have for humanity and the activities of Earth. And then there are other parents who are much more involved. Sometimes you would call them in a more negative context, helicopter parents. So there are some ET races that want to give much more oversight, instruction, direction, communication to reroute and redirect humanity and so on. And so our job in the Federation as ambassadors is to sift and sort through all these perspectives and possibilities of how to engage humanity and the doings of Earth, we will say, and then decide on a unanimous decision. And we revisit these decisions regularly as things shift and change, shift and change, shift and change with your consciousness on the planet. So, what do we want to say to you tonight, to those who listen, who are open to what ETs have to say? What we want to say to you is mind your vibration. Understand that everything you see, every sensory impression in your 3D material environment, everything that you listen to, watch through your media outlets, every conversation you have, every place you go, every place in which you lay your head, all of these things have vibrational qualities. And you are always either impacting the vibration around you for good, or you are allowing yourself to be shaped, molded, push-pulled, or influenced in some way by vibrations, either good ones or, as you would say, negative ones. We don't have any judgment about what people do. Simply understand that everything with this vibrational quality will have an effect. And so, if you want to positively impact the trajectory of humanity, if you care about what is going to happen with disclosure, with the future of life on Earth, and the future of all the environments of Earth, the seas, the land, the plants, the animals, and so on, then your best contribution is to keep your vibration high. And one thing you can trust in consistently is that the vibration of Mother Earth is constantly being elevated and upgraded. And so to be in nature, to touch the earth, to touch the plants, to interact with the water, to receive sunshine on your body, any interaction that you have with nature will most certainly raise your vibrational quality. It is an instant readjustment for your vibratory rate and will elevate your consciousness. And then to keep everything very simple, because your culture and the doings of humanity have made everything so complicated, which is something that seeps in, of course, to the spiritual circles of communication as well. So to keep it simple, simply choose love, choose love, choose love. Every decision you have to make all day long will require you to either act from love and wisdom or fear and doubt. Love and wisdom or fear and doubt. So as much as you can, choose love and wisdom. As for our assistance, we assure you there are always angels and guides such as ourselves at hand to answer any question that you have, and use your discernment about what you hear and sense. Many of you are still wrestling with this question. Is it me or is it an angel? Is it just my mind or is it my guides? We understand because there is a lot, many energies that are bombarding you from all around. We understand how you could have this question, but continue to trust your gut, lean into what feels good, lean into what feels lighter, brighter, and more loving, lean away from what is fearful. Now, there are some healthy fears that you need to have. We're not speaking of those, but we are speaking of an overreactivity driven by the ego or by your experiences. And continue to choose love. Choose love. Mind your own vibration. Connect with nature. And the last thing we want to share with you is meditate, 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 meditate. And if you've given up on meditation or you haven't had a breakthrough, go back to it and begin again. Find another tool or another resource, or simply sit. And if you can't quiet your mind, simply hold your body still. Holding your body very still is a very good place to begin. If your thoughts run amok, let them, but keep showing up for meditation. In meditation is the place where you will begin to encounter your angels and guides, and they certainly can make a direct contact with you. Understand there are, of course, people who see materialized entities such as ourselves, or see their craft and so on. But this is the very slim minority of the contact that we make. The contact that we make is primarily through telepathic communication. Now, telepathic communication you can receive from us as thought impressions. You may sense a presence in the room and feel a thought impression connected with the presence in the room, or there can be a stronger merging. Right now, we are completely merged with this vessel. She has stepped aside and we are speaking through her voice. But that is not necessary, you understand. You simply can sense our presence and receive our thought impressions. And this vessel is accurate in affirming to you that at all times you should feel safe and comfortable. Yes. And the fruit of any good communication or contact with an ET or angel is this feeling of being at peace, of being loved, of being safe, and of receiving information that is valid to your current experience and of true help for you. Okay, so this is the message that we leave with you tonight. We know you were wanting to hear something more complicated, more fascinating, more magical, more detail-oriented about all the fantastic goings on in the unseen realm. We're sorry to disappoint you, but it's nevertheless what you need to hear. Keep your vibration high. Mind your personal vibration. Get in nature in order to elevate your level of consciousness. Meditate, meditate, meditate. Yes. And act from love. Take the action of love. Turn away from fear and doubt. Good. Very good. Now, there will be, sooner than you might think, we're not going to put a time on it. We know you want a time, but we're not going to give you one. But sooner than you might think, there will be a vast awakening to all of humanity. All of humanity will see and realize the truth of our existence. And they will begin to have a window into the vast myriad of ET races, civilizations, planets, star systems, universes, and everyone will have enough visual. Yes, we're going to say visual and concrete. Yes, we're going to say concrete and material evidence of our existence, that they will begin to open up to the vast wonders of possibilities. All of this information, these happenings, these encounters will be carefully managed from our side. And so much of the reason why we are speaking through vessels such as this one and many other channelers, and also beginning to visit individuals such as yourself, is in order to cushion this transition so that fewer people feel alarmed And so that persons such as yourself can give information and comfort to those who might feel frightened by these changes. It is not our intent to upset or frighten anyone. And so we are being careful and cautious, thoughtful and methodical in this disclosure process. And we are working through, as you would say, layman, because of the openness and receptivity and because of the willingness of laymen to disseminate this information so that more people can be informed. Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm. So this vessel has encouraged you to begin your relationships with ETs that you feel a connection to and take advantage of the resources of their direction and wisdom and information in order to guide you through this time of disclosure. And this is good advice. Mm-hmm.